Hi, I'm Mike Beliveau, and I'm back to give you my top 10 favorite movie westerns of all time. Uh, some of you have probably seen the video I did a little while ago on my top 10 TV westerns, and I decided to follow that up with top 10 movie westerns. And surprisingly, that was a much harder list to put together because there are so many just fantastic Western movies. And I found that I made a top 10 list, and then I thought this and that and this and that. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make a top 20 list and try to shuffle it down, see what I get. So I made a top 20 list. Then I made a top 25 list. And then I said, oh, you got to get a grip on yourself. So I limited it to my top 10. And once again, these are my picks. Yours may be quite different, and that's fine. I'd be happy to hear yours. But these are the ones that I like the best. And if I did it a month from now, it might be different because it was really hard to take some of these movies out to keep others in and keep the list at 10 because there are just so many good ones, right? So here are my top 10 favorite movie westerns. Number 10 is the Cheyenne Social Club. This is a comedy western. It was made in 1970. The movie starred Jimmy Stewart and Henry Fonda and Shirley Jones. I love this thing from the opening gun. It's well written. It's funny. Stewart and Fonda play aging best friend cowboys who've been on the trail for years, and Jimmy Stewart inherits a property from his dead brother. It's a successful business in Cheyenne, and they journey all the way out to Cheyenne from where they're working. And it turns out, of course, to be a bordello, which is quite a shock to Jimmy Stewart and quite a pleasant surprise to Henry Fonda. And from there, hilarity ensues. But it's well written. It's just excellent. I'll watch Jimmy Stewart read the phone book. He is one of my favorite actors, and he's great in this. And Shirley Jones is quite good, and Henry Fonda is also a great actor. So there you go, number 10. Number 9, and this is one that I'm sure a lot of people disagree with, but I really like it, is Two Mules for Sister Sarah. It's a 1970 movie, stars Clint Eastwood, and the lovely Shirley MacLaine. And I was really very unfamiliar with Shirley MacLaine until I saw this movie. So I thought she was talented and beautiful. I was quite surprised. This was Clint Eastwood's second Hollywood starring feature, right? He made Hang 'em High first after making the spaghetti westerns. And this one is much more spaghetti westernish than Hang 'em High. Hang 'em High was a very straightforward revenge story, quite good. In this one, he's almost reprising his role as the man with no name. He plays a mercenary in Mexico who rescues a nun, Shirley MacLaine, who's about to be, shall we say, ravaged or attacked by a group of bad guys. And from there, he gets involved in the Mexican Revolution. And I just really enjoyed this movie. I think it's well written. It's got great action. It's got Clint Eastwood. What more could you ask for? Now, number 8 for me, and I'm sure some people would put this higher, is The Wild Bunch. It's arguably Sam Peckinpah's best film. It features a stellar cast that was set by William Holden and Ernest Borgnine. They play a couple of aging Western gunmen in the early 20th century. It's got a huge and great supporting cast. Ben Johnson, Strother Martin, just some great guys. And Holden does a really good job in the lead. For me, Ernest Borgnine really kind of makes a movie. I mean, I think Ernest Borgnine is a shockingly good actor. And I'd watch him in just about anything. I mean, the guy has phenomenal acting chops. And this is a great movie. It's got great costuming. It's got fantastic action sequences. It's incredibly violent. So if that's a problem for you, you might not want to watch it. But not a problem for me. I really enjoyed it. It features one of the most famous gun battles in all of film, as Holden, Borgnine, and the gang fight off basically almost the entire Mexican army. It's just tremendously good. Now, for me, number 7 is another one that might surprise you. It's Valdez Is Coming. This was an underappreciated 1970-ish movie, and it starred Burt Lancaster as an aging Mexican constable, Bob Valdez, Roberto Valdez. It's based on an Elmore Leonard story, which is a great novel, by the way. If Elmore Leonard's stuff, whether it's his westerns, which were his earlier stuff, or the crime stuff that he wrote, for the second half of his writing career, any of those books is worth reading. I think I've read everything Elmore Leonard's ever written, and I've never been disappointed. And there are some great movies like Hombre, The Tall T, 3:10 to Yuma, Last Stand at Sabre River, that were all adaptations of his books or short stories. And all fantastic. And Valdez Is Coming is very good because it plays Burt Lancaster, if you can accept him as a blue-eyed Mexican. And he ends up killing a man wrongly at the urgings of the rich guys in town who mistakenly identify him as a wanted murderer when he was not. And Valdez wants to get some money for his widow from these rich guys who wants them to donate a $500 pot for her to relocate and start her life since they took her husband away. And they're not having it. And the main guy, Tanner, who's a guy who has a ranch, but he makes most of his money supplying the Mexican revolutionaries with weapons. When he's asked, he has his crew basically beat up and torture Bob Valdez and turn him loose to die in the desert, which he does not. And that's when they discover that the Bob Valdez that they know is the mild-mannered Mexican constable actually has a past. And in that past, he was an Apache hunter for the United States Army. He was a scout, and he led a group of Apache scouts. And he is no one to be trifled with, as Tanner and his gang will learn to their peril in the rest of the movie. The movie's got some great lines in it. It has great action. It's a phenomenally good story, and I just really like it. So that's my number 7. Number 6 on my list is The Outlaw Josey Wales. This was a 1976 Western. It's set in the immediate aftermath of the Civil War. And Josey Wales, played by Clint Eastwood, is a man whose family was burned out and killed by Union forces. So he joins the rebels, fights through the war, and then at the end of the war, when his unit's surrendering, they are massacred during their surrender by the same unit that burned him out. And he escapes and becomes a wanted man. And the original title of this from the book was Gone to Texas. And it's all about basically him trying to get away from all this stuff and get out to the Texas frontier. But he's being hunted by bounty hunters in the Union Army. And that turns out to be to the bounty hunters and the Union Army's detriment, as you can well imagine. It has really good performances. It's well written. The book is absolutely worth reading, by the way. Gone to Texas, if you have not. If you've never read it, go for it. But the movie is, I think, phenomenally good. One of Clint Eastwood's best Westerns, maybe the best Western that he ever did. So, I absolutely recommend it. Now, my number 5 is the original version of The Magnificent Seven that stars Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen and Charles Bronson, Robert Vaughn, Brad Dexter, James Coburn, and Horst Buchholz. And they portray a group of 7 professional gunmen who've been hired by a small Mexican town to protect them against this bandit who's constantly raiding them. And the bandit's called Calvera, and he is played by Eli Wallach, who you may not know is a very nice Jewish fellow from New York. So Eli Wallach plays a phenomenal Mexican bandit, and I often think that his role in The Magnificent Seven is what got him the role of Tuco in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, because they are basically the same character. It's just that Tuco gets to do more during that movie than Calvera did during The Magnificent Seven. But the movie is very good. The movie's very good. It's got a great backstory for each of the gunfighters. They train the villagers to fight off the bad guys. There's, of course, a huge climactic gunfight. For me, Eli Wallach makes the movie. And though a lot of people might disagree with this, because I know Steve McQueen was busy stealing scenes from Yul Brynner all the time, and this made him famous. But besides Eli Wallach, my favorite character in the movie was a young Robert Vaughn, who I thought just played an excellent character, great role, and well worth seeing. But everybody is. I mean, James Coburn's always a joy to see. It's just very good. Number 4 on my list is another Elmore Leonard story, Hombre. And this one stars Paul Newman as John Russell. John Russell is a white man who was raised by Apaches. And he comes into an inheritance from his white family and has to go to claim it. And he is, largely reviled by the whites in town, and he has to take a stagecoach with a group of people on it to go out and claim his property. And of course, they treat him awful because of his Indian ways, right? But then it turns out the stagecoach is attacked. It's attacked by our old friend Richard Boone, who plays a great bad guy again. And now John Russell's skills learned with the Apache become of vital importance to the survival of his fellow stagecoach passengers. So suddenly he's not such a bad guy, right? It's a great story. I actually think the book is better. The book is well worth reading, but the movie is fantastic, and Paul Newman just has one of his best roles in this, I think. Now, number 3 on my list is True Grit. And once again, I prefer the John Wayne original version of True Grit. Not that I didn't like the Bridges version. It was fine. But I thought the Wayne version was just better. John Wayne plays Rooster Cogburn, an old, one-eyed, fat, alcoholic deputy marshal who works out of Indian Territory. Kim Darby plays Maddie Ross, a young 14-year-old girl who is 14 going on 50. Her father had gone to Fort Smith on business and was murdered by his ranch hand, Ed Cheney. And she's out to capture him and get revenge. And she'd just as soon have him dead as alive. And they're joined by Glenn Campbell, who portrays a Texas Ranger, LaBeef, who's also after Cheney for a crime committed in Texas. John Wayne is stellar in this. This movie made me appreciate John Wayne. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that, because another movie that debuted after this one, but that I saw before this one, because I didn't see this one in the theaters. I had to see this one after I saw a different movie that we'll talk about in a minute. But John Wayne just did fantastic. Jeff Bridges is very good, and I love Jeff Bridges, but this is good. Now, a lot of people are going to say that the Jeff Bridges version is truer to the Charles Portis book. And by the way, if you haven't read the Charles Portis book, True Grit, read it. Another great book. Well worth reading. I've read it probably 2 or 3 times. I love that book. They say the Jeff Bridges version is true to the book. That is not true, except in one case, which is the final scene of the Jeff Bridges version of the movie. Is true to the ending of the book. And the John Wayne ending is a lot more happy-faced, because that's the way John Wayne wanted it. So my recommendation is watch the John Wayne version and then watch the last scene of the Jeff Bridges version, and you'll pretty much have seen the book. But I love True Grit, and if you haven't seen it, see it. Now, number 2 on my list is Tombstone. And a lot of you are going to say, number 2? What's wrong with you? Should be number 1. Well, okay, maybe. I mean, these get pretty hard up in this range. I rated it number 2. It's a great movie. It's the best movie on the Gunfight at the OK Corral and the Vengeance Ride ever made. The others I all found quite disappointing. The cast is stuffed with great actors. The unfortunate thing about this movie is I have ran into so many people who think it's a documentary. And it's not. Honest, folks. It's really not. It got some stuff right, but it was trying to make a movie, not tell history. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that's wrong in it. But some stuff's right, and the overall impression is quite good. And I think they do a good job, Kurt Russell does, of nailing Wyatt Earp's character. But then you got Sam Elliott playing Virgil. Oh my goodness, is he ever great as ever. And to be honest with you, Virgil in some ways was the toughest of the bunch of the Earp brothers. Very good guy, Virgil was. A good lawman. And of course, you have Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday, which is the best portrayal in the entire movie in terms of acting. Val Kilmer acted his butt off for this. He's fantastic. I actually think in terms of physicality that Dennis Quaid in the movie Wyatt Earp was a much better Doc Holliday as far as towards the history of it. But Val Kilmer as a portrayal, as a character, as an actor, you can't beat it. I mean, it's worth the price of admission just to see him in that role. So, just a fantastic movie. One of the greatest westerns ever made, and well worth watching. And yes, number 2 for me. Because for me, number 1, and this is an emotional number 1 for me, is The Shootist. The Shootist for me was the first John Wayne movie that I ever saw in the theaters. And I was not a big John Wayne fan up until then. I mean, his stuff was like old movies on TV to me as a kid. I was a young adult when I saw The Shootist. And I only saw it because I had read Glendon Swarthout's book, The Shootist, which if you have not read it, read it. It's significantly different from the movie, but the idea is very much the same. So in the movie, John Wayne plays J.B. Brooks, an aging lawman and gunfighter who finds out that he has cancer, terminal cancer, and that he only has weeks to live. And he goes to Carson City, Nevada, just to find a quiet place to die with dignity. And he stays in a boarding house owned by a widow named Bond Rogers, who's played by Lauren Bacall. And he does not really let her know who he is. Now, her son, who is Opie Taylor, Ron Howard, he plays Gillum Rogers, and he recognizes J.B. Brooks from his pictures in newspapers. And he tells his mother, who is shocked that they have this gunfighter in their house. And in some ways, Ron Howard bonds with J.B. Brooks, with John Wayne. And of course, John Wayne and Lauren Bacall become somewhat romantic while this is going on. But of course, he can't escape his past, and people are trying to kill him. He wants to die with dignity, and he decides to set that up as basically a final gunfight. And it's an outstanding movie. And John Wayne's acting is very good in it. Of course, he plays John Wayne. And that's why the movie is somewhat different from the books, because he can't help playing the persona that he created over the decades as John Wayne, the American cowboy. But it's excellent. And it's more poignant because, of course, he was about to die of cancer in a couple of years himself. He'd already fought cancer, and now he was about to fight it again. And it had weakened him, and he was more vulnerable. And that comes through in his performance, and it's quite good. Amazing to watch, really. And it's what turned me on to John Wayne. So I went back and started watching his other movies. And as I said, True Grit, which was on the list, a classic. The Cowboys, which did not make the top 10 list. Another phenomenal John Wayne movie. Rio Bravo, another great one. All of which are on my top 25 list, but didn't make the top 10. But John Wayne deserves his place in the pantheon of American cinema gods. I mean, he really was quite something, and this movie absolutely shows it. So those are my top 10 favorite TV westerns. As I said, your list may differ, and that's fine. I'd love to hear it. So if you like this, to do, thumbs up, right? Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Share it with your friends. And by all means, tell me what your top 10 list is. And until next time, bye.